And the idea of this panel is, look, wow, what was happening to you guys? You look very similar. Okay, I take off my jacket. But this is all I take off, I promise.
You forget your white shirt?
White and blue never goes on.
Yeah.
No.
And it's really interesting because we have actually 2 utilities, 2 startups, and they make business together. So I want to know from Thomas, why did you invest in Thermondo?
I think it's a fundamental belief in the business model that Thermondo has. So the market potential around heating is very, very large. The market inefficiencies are very, very large, and Thermondo is extremely well positioned in that perspective. I think there are elements that are, it's not a hardware play, it's really about the business model that's involved, and I think that's the thing that we probably like the most about it. So there's just a fundamental belief in the business.
Philipp, why did you take the money from E.ON?
32 million consumers and a lot of knowledge in the energy markets. So obviously we've talked to a lot of VCs. We have done 3 rounds so far, and they came in with our Series B, so our second round. And in preparation of that round, we talked to a lot of guys, and I think the one thing that really differentiates, or the 2 things that differentiates a large utility, corporate VC, or corporate VC of a large utility, is that they have a pretty clear understanding of the future of the energy markets. At least they have a lot of good hunches. And they work towards those hunches, and obviously they have customers.
And Thomas, how do you help Thermondo find more customers? Are you actually promoting them in your market, in your customer base in Germany?
I mean, the good thing is Thermondo, again, the business model itself is quite solid. So they're in the process of independently generating, let's say, the leads, the business, trying to see what it is that they can do. And in parallel with that, we're looking at how is it that we can scale that in a significant way. And so we're in the process of really engaging with the business in a considered way to really pilot how it is that we could introduce Thermondo and the service offering to our customers.
So it's still in the making, the rollout into the German customer base?
That's right, exactly. Yeah. And but with some very near-term, meaning let's say in the next couple of months, milestones. So I mean, we'll be seeing Thermondo, let's say, with an EON introduction, very, very soon.
And we had a pilot with EW Einfach, which is the German discount subsidiary of or brand of EON last summer. Last summer we started and kind of concluded it now in February, and then we got the green light to go red, which means that we got the green light to go, do something with the EON brand.
Do you imagine that you have a white label version of Thermondo, or will Thermondo be the only brand in the future where you can get your service from?
Well, we started, so we have actually 2 go-to-market strategies. So yesterday I only talked about our B2C go-to-market strategy. We also do B2B2C, so white label via utilities. And we also have 10 contracts in place. What I learned in the last 9 months, that having contracts in place in the utility world doesn't necessarily translate into business. So I think we did well to really always kept our focus on our own brand and really service customers with our own brand. But we do have 10 white label partners, and we always show up as powered by Thermondo. So it's in the design of the partner, and then it's powered by Thermondo. So the sender of the service is in the end us.
Okay. Philippe, the French Philippe, why did you invest in Sunfire?
They were taking, from a classical, VC point of view, they were taking all the boxes. Breakthrough technology, strong IP, very strong market opportunity in the future, not in the near future, but I think big market potential, competitive advantage, seasoned team, very good entrepreneurs with some killing young guns. So it's, all that classical, criteria were okay. And on top of that, I would say that they have the ability and they want to work with corporates, notably EDF. And at least, but it was not the only thing that made us invest in that company, because the first criteria are very, very important, but at least we saw that, and we still think that we can make it, we can really try to make something big with EDF.
Nils, why did you take the money, and how did EDF create value post-investment for you up to now?
So the first reason is, as I pitched yesterday, we're a company that converts electricity into chemicals, or chemicals back into electricity. And the technologies that we're developing are always a core component, but we need guys that build a system around it. And if you look at the type of investors that we have picked, and they have picked us, of course, as well, but the investors that we have picked is Total on the fuel and chemical side. We have Bilfinger Berger in the middle, which is a company that is very strong in engineering services and creates the trust that you need when you build larger plants and larger projects. And on the electrical side, we have one of the strongest utilities, not only in Europe, but also in Asia. You have an awesome brand name there, in Russia, in the US also. Also from a point of view of internationalization, that was really important for us. And actually the second aspect is I really, really like the split between private equity guys that come from the financial side that team up with corporate people who can help you on the business side. So that is really one of the strongest aspects or reasons why we've chosen to work with Electranova.
How did you get in touch, the two of you?
I remember that we had the first very, very good meeting here at the Ecosummit, and I don't even know if you know that, but there was quite a lot of talking here. We have met, actually I think it was, we were approached by Electranova, and we speak a lot of French in our own office, so that made it easy to communicate with those guys. Yeah.
We have a pretty proactive action on trying to find the best opportunities and the best startups. We thought that Sunfire could be one of those. And also there have been a lot of work together between the EDF German R&D Center, which was called IFER, and Sunfire for, I think, 4 or 5 years.
Started in 2008,
2009. So typically they were well known by our technical experts. So it was much more easy to assess what they have in the guts.
Yeah.
And Philipp, how did you meet EON?
Here. So Jonah, who's sitting up there, and we met in...
you played basketball together, right? At Ecosummit,
you might think so,
Düsseldorf.
but I think he's pretty bad, actually, in basketball. So he's more of a table tennis or something. I don't know. Volleyball, okay. No, it was in Neuss, at the Ecosummit in Düsseldorf, Neuss, fall of 2012. We pitched a pretty chaotic pitch because we did like 2 things, B2B, B2C. We didn't really know who we were, and we had a different name. And nevertheless, we just started talking, and then we kind of like evolved. We did our seed round in March 2013 with 2 different investors, but we had a meeting in Düsseldorf, and we just kept on talking. And then at one point, I started giving updates, kind of like, almost like a monthly call, and we had that maybe for a couple of months, and then we did our CSA, and then the rest is history.
And how is this relationship on a day-to-day basis? What are you doing? I think you come to Berlin, you check the numbers, you are working out a strategy, how you can help them in the future. What else are you doing on a day-to-day
I think
basis?
A lot of this at this point is there's a personal interaction which is necessary, and I think Philipp just referred to Jonah in the audience. Having a point person that really can work together with a company is pretty critical, and that point person, let's say, not only looks after the interests of the investor, but I think, well, probably maybe even more importantly, looks after the interests of the startup inside that big company that is EON. A big company is a complex beast, and trying to understand how to influence, how to move things. People in the audience will have alluded to that challenge a lot around that frustration of actually getting contracts signed and getting things done. So having a person that actually can help unlock those doors is critical, and we have that in the team, and I think you guys have a very good relationship.
Philipp, I want to ask you, are you actually a competitor of EON in any market or not?
No, I think it's not true. I can even say that we were co-investor in the company. Yeah. So, no, taking the example of Sunfire, we are on board with Total, with Bilfinger. So with Total, sometime we could be competitor on the same market. So, and then the cooperation around Sunfire is very good because we think that we can bring value which is different, and we can add value together for the sake of Sunfire, but also with EF and Total. So basically speaking, we have no principle. I have to say that sometimes when you go to your business units and say, okay, guys, we are co-investor with EON, sometimes they would say, whoa, 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 whoa. But the world is changing. We need to, we need to cooperate because the world is changing so fast. We have the same kind of challenges, and maybe, yeah, we can help together.
I think if I may add one thing, sorry, if I may add one thing to that, I think what is really important from the perspective of a startup is that if you team up with a corporate, you don't want your corporate to block you from working with all the other corporates in the market. And I think one essential job of the corporate is not to internalize innovation from a startup, but the first premises is to make money on the cash that you have invested. And what we value a lot about our investors, I have an example from a meeting in the US with Total, where those guys said, here, come and join me for lunch. It's the oil and gas table, and this is Shell and Chevron, and speak to those guys. And I think for us, it's extremely important that our corporates don't block us there and get along with those guys and don't see each other, at least on the corporate venture capital side, don't see each other as competitors, but rather as partners for the startups.
It's not to say that our lawyers don't get a little bit involved and get a little bit anxious when we're a little bit too close. So, I mean, it's not to say that there's a panacea of very, let's say, intimate collaboration. That would be a misrepresentation, I think, at this point.
And I think that's one of the things that the corporate VC needs to manage internally, because it's one thing that the VC team and the startup understand that. It's a different thing whether the entire corporation understands that. But it is important because, for instance, I mean, like I said, we have 10 white label contracts in place, and we felt that it's important. So we, as a startup, I wouldn't be willing to sort of say put my entrepreneurial future into the hands of one corporate. Yeah. You know, I'm way too old for that. And so I think as again, the VC team understands that very quickly. So it's in the contract. Obviously, that you have full operational freedom, because that's the question that I get asked all the time. And at the same time, the corporate and the startup want to work together operationally as well. So it's a fine balance. It's really a fine line that needs to be managed mutually. And in regards of speed, and that's maybe the culture thing a little bit, also there. So obviously, the startup is usually faster. If we weren't faster, well, we had very little reason to be here. You know, it's part of our raison d'être to be fast. And the corporate tries to be fast, and the VC team really wants to be fast, but it's a big tanker, you know. So it's normal that it at times is slow. So you need to you need to find the balance, you know, that suits both.
One goal of the panel is to help you guys change and get better. Nils, do you have a recommendation or an idea that they can make better in the future, so they can be even a better VC for you, that they haven't done yet in the past?
That's a big question to a young guy who is in a small startup. I mean, I think one very, very important thing is you're getting guys on board who are used to do everything hands-on and quickly and so on. And it's important that you don't block them in that, because otherwise the main purpose of having a corporate venture capital group is to profit from that. So I think the guys that your bosses should try to align your interests with my interests, which is one important point, because then they know you will be 100% dedicated to make this company successful. So I think thinking about it from the corporate side, I think it's important that you have something like entrepreneurs in those funds. Otherwise, the startups won't be successful. That's the one thing. The other thing is be open to pivoting, be open to communicate with your guys, to sometimes have people in front of you that think completely differently from you. But let them do the stuff, because that's why you invested. They do it differently from the big corporate.
And Philipp, which input would you give to EON to be even better in the future for you?
I mean, first of all, I think they have a great portfolio. If you look at their portfolio, I think that's very impressive. You know, some of the really big names.
Speak up a little bit.
Some of the really big names. I mean, EON being a German company, yet in their venture capital approach, they're very US-centered. We are actually one of 2 German investments only. So, in terms of working with us, honestly, with every shareholder, you have good days and bad days. That's just the way it is. Same with my co-founders. It's the same with my wife. And it's part of life, I think. And I think one of the core strengths is that in our shareholder base, we always get together if needed. And then, you know, everybody sits on that table and we put forward our positions. And then so far, we have always been found a way to move ahead. Because it's natural that we have at times conflicting interests. Valuation, you know, talking about the so there are always questions. It's in the nature of things. So we will have different interests at times, and then it's important to be professional and communicate.
And maybe one more addition that I just thought of is it's important to give the startup the freedom to develop in what they are doing. So you're investing with an idea, and I think in your case it was because you thought that it might be the fuel cell technology that could be successful. But then in the development of a company, you might end up building a completely different product that is maybe on the first side not exactly connected to what EDF would be doing, but either can give you a great return on your investment or turn out to be, for some reason, another great aspect for your company. So I think being open to this change is something which is important.
Did EDF already create revenue for you? Become a paying customer too, next to the investment, or not?
No,
yet?
it's
you can confirm what he says.
Yeah. I will do tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But no, I mean, here we are in a pretty early stage investment. I mean, the company is still at the demonstration project step. So the contribution for CVC and for EDF is more on strategic views. There is nothing better for understanding what happens or what could happen, or the kind of error that you could make, or the thing that you could try to do. There is no better thing than being on board and trying to understand as you are a board member and as you support the staff. And this has a great value for a corporate like EDF or like EON, if he wants to use all that. I mean, using understanding and trying to. So there is a lot of strategic value, but coming from the operational views, there is also a technological cooperation between Sunfire and EDF R&D. So we are more on this stage, these different steps, but we are waiting for, but in common, we are completely aligned on that for trying to make business. But it's going to be later. It's normal due to the stage of development of the company.
I think that that's part of the value, really, that clearly we're a strategic investor, so we put the equity in, but really we're interested in a return beyond the equity, which is, let's say, helping to transform that, let's say, tanker, the large company. And I think it's through those collaborations that you actually see that value. So, I mean, Thermondo is absolutely going to have an impact on EON in terms of how it is that it goes about selling these types of, let's say, more complex, different types of energy services. And that's really the reason that we're interested in doing it, as well as the financial return, which isn't hopefully bad.
Maybe just want to add something on that. As we have 2 financial investors in our fund,
BPI Allianz.
We wouldn't be able to invest only on a strategic view from EDF. Okay, so we have invested in Sunfire because we think that in terms of revenues, exits, etc., we're going to make it.
And I think the value creation, and there is actually projects coming up, so there will be revenue. It was also one thing that we said to every corporate, if you invest money, we also want you to create revenues. With Total, it's already working.
But this is a hard requirement?
No, of course not.
Or like a soft goal?
It's not yet like you say, this is a requirement, otherwise we don't take you. But we discussed this prior to it, and I think the softer or more indirect value creation is what you just mentioned, is there is the technical support. We wouldn't have an electrolyzer of that quality if we wouldn't have the guys in Karlsruhe, which is colleagues of Philippe. And then there is all the stuff like going to China together and selling to big corporates who would not buy from a startup, but if you are with the guys of EDF next to you, suddenly you have a deal. And actually that has happened, so it has created revenue indirectly. And I think that supports also what you just said.
And to finish the panel, I would like to ask you this question because you are in a similar stage. You have around 90, 100 people, and you are doing quite well. So what is the biggest challenge for the company at the moment that you are working on to manage the next phase of the company development?
For us, it's recruiting. So we are in a very demanding labor market. Germany has literally no unemployment, and we are recruiting. If you want, our 2 volume positions are telesales people, really capable telesales people, and installers. And you know, a lot of people want to recruit those guys. So we are right in the middle of what's called Fachkräftemangel in Germany. So we need to innovate there as well. We need to find a model which allows us to recruit really a lot of people, not just
Do you
a
have
couple,
a virtual options program for your employees?
Sure.
Yeah, how much % is in the pool?
That's actually not public, but it is 4%.
4. Okay. And you have an options program?
Same thing and same, or almost the same
size.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your biggest challenge to grow further?
It's a bit more technical. I think we're at a point that out of the entire competition, we have a technology that works really, really well. And I would say it's at the tipping point of entering markets in some of the cases that we have worked on. It's really the question of, are we able to create enough sales in niche markets or on project-related things to get the cost per unit down. That's the pretty much the thing, because I think there is no fundamental technical problem anymore in the technology. The main thing right now is getting the cost curve or walking the cost curve down.
And we talked last night, so in that sense, it's actually a very similar challenge, because we don't have a fundamental question mark behind our business model. We don't have a fundamental question mark behind our sales model. So we know we can sell that it's a very complex service we sell. And we can sell it, we can build enough trust on the phone, via our website, you know, the customer journey is there that, you know, allows for that trust. So there are a lot of boxes ticked. We know we have enough demand. I know today that we have enough demand for the next 18 months. So it is really about, it's not about fundamental question marks, it's about execution. So the next 6 months for us, it's an execution game.
And the funny thing is there's actually a lot of connection between the things that we do, because hopefully one day those guys will be selling the heating systems that we're building for Weiland. So I think maybe the story will continue together, and that's why they have to be good.
World domination in the making, yeah. Okay, I want to finish a little bit earlier and invite you to enjoy barbecue together with me and these well-dressed gentlemen. They're really good-looking today. I want to thank you very, very much for supporting Ecosummit, for winning the award, for being an incredible audience. And what we are doing now is I ask everybody to come onto stage for the final photo that he will be taking, our favorite photographer, okay? Come everybody onto stage, and then we close this conference.